us and slaves were just in prettier cages.
Oh man, we're only getting started.
I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Our main story is tonight.
Daddy, it's starting!
It's all in the Bible. Look, Leviticus.
Hi, David, I have a call for you. I'm just putting it through. All right, mate. Dave here. Listen, I know you've only come in to clean up the place, but I've got a bit caught up, so you're going to have to run the news tonight. Now, don't worry. It's not hard, and I'm going to stay on the phone and help you. First, I'm going to give you a quick tour of the broadcast room, so if you're not doing it already, look forwards towards all those screens. Right, look up at the top. That coloured bar is your audience. You want to keep the viewers going up and not down. Underneath that, you've got the screens. The one on the right is the broadcast screen. That's what the viewers are seeing at home. It's only a couple of seconds behind the master screen there in the middle. That's the one you control. Now, the four small screens on the left show the different signals coming from the studio, and you can choose between them using the numbered buttons on the vision mixer at the bottom left. Don't worry, I'll talk you through it and you'll pick it up in no time. Now, have a look to your left. These plugs control everything in the studio. I've left them set up for you, so provided you haven't fiddled with them, all you have to do now is throw the master trip switch and we're in business. Once you've got the power on, face the front again. You can see on the broadcast screen that we're in the end titles for the show before us. Fortunately, they go on for fucking ages, so there's plenty of time for me to explain. Oh, right, okay, they're over, so we haven't got long now till the broadcast. Right, quickly, mate, look down under the desk. You can see a load of videotapes on the left. They're your adverts. Pick any three and load them into the machines on the right. When you've done that, look up to the front again.
Four old ladies from East Yorkshire. That followed at 8 p.m. by award-winning documentary series.
Right, won't be long now till the signal starts coming through from the station. Stay on your toes. All the bigwigs are in tonight because of the election, so we better not make any mistakes.
At 9 p.m, sit back and relax with multiple award-winning movie, The Freedom.
When you get the signal, select screen 1 with the vision mixer and we're ready to go.
Oh, prawn and mayonnaise?
You know seafood makes me go out on pustules.
Yeah, thought it might increase our viewing figures.
Every day. You offer me prawns every day.
10 seconds, everybody. That's how I show love.
You're trying to kill me.
And yet you persist. Going
Oh.
5, 4.
But now, it's time to join Jeremy Donaldson.
Good evening. I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Our main stories tonight.
Okay,
Moving on
we're
up.
all good.
The election
Next
win
is going to be the
that
throw to
Essex
the
said
news
just pretty
titles
enough.
on screen 2.
Hopeful or
There'll be a
hostile.
countdown, but I'll count you in as well. Just relax, mate. It's all gravy.
Buys Honest Andy's Totally Independent and corners the flowered market. Top chat. Sports fans everywhere celebrate as popular footballer Johnny Hamsleeves wins Sports Personality of the Year. And a spoonful of sugar. Megan will be chatting with movie star Lawrence Blunderclatch about his new movie, The Medicated. And, of course, we'll be going live to Advance headquarters to hear what the leaders of this fledgling party have to say on their historic week.
Right, button
That's
2
all coming up on
in
tonight.
3, 2,
National Night News.
1, now. Bit late there, mate. Next thing is to throw back to Jeremy with button 1 when that globe in the middle shrinks down and vanishes. Here it comes. Switch to screen 1 now. Lovely, mate.
The votes are in, and it's a decisive win for Advance. The landslide.
Listen, mate, we often get a bit of interference around this time of night, so keep your eye on the machine on the bottom right. You can move that white dot up and down, avoiding the interference using the yellow knob or your scroll wheel.
Of a severe lack of actual policies and of being deliberately vague. The opposition parties have all conceded defeat to Advance's overwhelming mandate, but have yet to appear publicly.
Great, it's going well. All you've got to do now is play the advert at the end of the segment. Make sure you don't play it too early or we'll all get fired. Now the clock at the top is counting you down to the advert. When it reaches 0, press one of the 3 play ad buttons over there at the bottom right. I normally play the first one at the first break and so on, but you can play them in any order you want. I'll count you into it as well, but keep your eye on the clock.
We'll be going live to Advance HQ to hear the co-leader's acceptance speech.
And 3, 2, 1, advert.
1 minute back, everybody.
Jeremy, I need you to fill after the ads.
What? Why?
Wanker Snatch is running late.
Oh,
Thought I'd ask him about the election.
personally, I wouldn't try to confuse him with any big words.
That's the same policy we use with you.
I thought that was our little secret.
He doesn't remember anything I tell him.
I'm deeply uncomfortable with your burgeoning friendship.
Me too.
Yeah.
Wicked, we made it to the first ad break. You're doing great, mate. But this is where it starts getting a bit trickier. This next sequence is what we call a multicam sequence, because you're going to be cutting between multiple cameras to keep things interesting. A lot of it's down to personal taste, but here's 3 good rules of thumb. 1, try and keep the shot on whoever is doing the talking. 2, don't stay on the same shot for too long, 10 seconds at the most. So if you're on the person who's talking, try and throw in the odd reaction shot or pull out to the wide shot for a bit just to keep it interesting. 3, don't stay on reaction shots for too long. A couple of seconds is usually enough. Then the audience want to see who's doing the talking, yeah? Stick to these rules and you'll be fine. It's not as complicated as it sounds. You've seen programs on television, haven't you? Make it look like those. Might as well get screen 1 selected now. No need to wait for the broadcast to start. Try and stay ahead,
From
mate.
the break. Quiet in the studio.
Thank you so much.
10 seconds, everybody. Going in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome back to the National Nightly News. Later, we'll be hearing from shock election winners Advance. But first
Get
off,
ready to go to Megan on screen
Megan
4.
Wolf is here with a star of both stage and screen. Megan?
Thank you, Jeremy. Megan Wolf, culture correspondent. And today I have a guest who starred in everything from Shakespeare
Right,
to
go
the
to Blunderclatch on screen 3 when she says his name.
by none other than Lawrence Blunderclatch. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, my dear, I do hope you believe me when I tell you that being with you here today is among
Switch to 2 for the wide now.
May I say, having you here with us is among ours.
Right, now just try and stay on whoever's talking.
Latest movie, which is called The Medicated.
The Medicated, yes.
Wow, what was that like?
Well, as I said to Peter the Rat, that's Peter Jensen, the director.
Give us a look at Megan's reaction. Lovely. Now back to Thunder Twat.
I've worked with him on several movies, all terribly successful. I said to Peter, what a wild ride this has been. And you know what, Megan? I really meant that.
Wow, that is fantastic. And am I right in saying that the character you play in this movie is quite an academic one?
Absolutely right. A scientist.
Was that a challenge at all?
What exactly are you implying? But seriously, yes, you're right. It was a complete departure from my last starring role when I played Sergeant Brock Rockman in Bullet Man. You'll remember that that was the true story of one soldier's fight for a love that surpasses all others. A love, of course, for freedom. I think it's grossed over $1 billion, but honestly, who's counting?
It's a role that saw you scoop 2 Best Actor awards, if I remember correctly.
It's so sweet of you to mention it, but I really am not in it for the awards, although those 3 little statues do take pride of place on my mantelpiece.
With all the others, I'm sure. So, if you're not doing it for the awards, what is it then that drives you?
That is a beautiful question, Megan, and not easy to answer. Like you, I'm afraid. Cut me, and I will bleed. And often, that's how it feels, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Bleeding. giving, suffering for one's audience. I suppose in the end, I do it for the difference it makes. I do it for the people that I inspire. The little people. But most of all, I think I do it for the positive change that I can bring about in the world.
And today, of course, we're in for some real change, it looks like, in the coming few months. What do you make of this historic election result?
Oh, well. Well, now you're asking. Historic election result. Indeed. Historic is the word. Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Very difficult. But, I've
Been on that show a bit long.
always been quite clear that when it comes to politics, one should always strive to not fuck things up.
Shit, he swore. Oh, well, don't worry, he won't do it again.
Sorry, I said fuck.
Shit, he did it again. Okay, don't panic. I'll explain how to deal with swearing at the break.
Medicated, which opens next week.
Right, they've swapped the shot of Jeremy on screen 1 for a VT of the movie clip. You'll get a countdown on the screen, but I'll just let Megan cue you in.
My character, Dr. Lods Hemlock, is faced with a decision that could affect humanity's very survival.
Exciting stuff. Let's take a look.
And we're out.
Go to the film clip, screen 1. Watch out for that interference, mate.
Doctor.
I don't understand it.
Cool, looks like Blunderclatch is losing it in the studio. I'd love to hear what he's saying, but don't switch to it now. You can go to the archive when the broadcast's done. We keep everything.
I don't know that.
No, Lance, we mustn't.
It's Dr. Lance to you, Miss Flanagan. Did it for you, baby. All for you.
Dr. Hemlock.
We're gonna change the world, you remember? Go on there, listen to me.
Dr. Hemlock.
You told me, but I didn't listen.
Doctor.
I'm drowning, Lance, you said.
You need to see this.
No, it's all too late.
Look at this!
The virus. The sterility. This formula. This is the key.
Stop it all.
Yes.
At the end of the clip, you'll want to play another ad. Remember to use the clock at the top to count you in.
If we should.
Right, I guess I better explain how to deal with bleeping out swear words. As you've probably noticed, the broadcast screen, here, is about 2 seconds behind the master screen, here. When someone says a naughty word, the bleep button lights up, like this. 2 seconds later, you'll hear that swear word going out on the broadcast, and you need to hold down the bleep button or the spacebar on your keyboard for as long as the swear word lasts. It can take a bit of practice getting used to hearing 2 things at once. Just stay calm and you'll get it. And if you can't tell when to bleep, just above the button, you'll literally be able to see the sound scrolling by. All you got to do is hold it down while the red bit is over the red line. Simple. Of course, if you do it by eye, you'll have to take your eye off the screens. That's why real professionals do it by ear. Most people like to have the volume of the broadcast screen a little bit below the master screen. Let's set it now.
This is a crazy deal.
As you turn it up, you'll hear the advert getting louder. Good. You're set to start censoring. Like I say, it takes a little practice, but I'll try and help you through it, and soon we'll have you bleeping like a pro. Remember, button lights up, count 1, 2, and hold it down.
We got those shares. You want crazy? We got crazy. Crazy deals got crazy deals.
Remember to select screen 1 now that you've got the feed. Don't wait for the broadcast to go live. That's too late. You can use the number buttons on your keyboard, 1 to 4.
We got it. You want it. You pay us. You want it. We got it. You want it. You want it. We got it. You pay us.
Welcome back. And I'm told we can now go live to Advanced Headquarters. And I'm told we can now go live to Advanced Headquarters, where the 2 leaders, Peter Clement and Julia Salisbury, are about to make their acceptance address.
Cut to the outside broadcast. pissed.
Go
Oh
for
shit,
it, Pat.
he's
Shall I
pissed.
start?
Get
Go
ready to
for
play.
it, Pat.
Thank you all for
Okay,
coming.
well, thank you all for coming, and, well, where do I
They
start?
said we
What a
couldn't do
day.
it. They said we couldn't do
Remember
it.
the dirty
Low-down, lying, southern bastard trick they had against us. But you, the people,
You totally
you
missed
saw
that.
right through their shite.
I'm sorry about the language there.
Sorry about that. I've had a couple of celebratory pints. Makes me coarser than a granny's fanny. Coarser than a
Memorably put.
Perfect.
But to be honest, who can blame Peter for celebrating? Throughout the campaign, you've heard us say that Advance are not a political party. A party is what you have when things are going well. When the country is suffering, you don't need a party. You need a team. A team that can change things. But today is day one of a new future. A better, fairer future. So perhaps we should all be celebrating.
Except for the rich. For them, the party's over. They shouldn't be celebrating. They should be putting their shitting pants on and opening their dusty checkbook.
Again, colourfully put, but not inaccurate. Before we came out here to address the nation, we used our executive powers to pass the Assets and Wealth Act. Working with the tax office, we have produced a definitive list of every person in the country with wealth into the millions.
You know the sort of... Probably you rather you don't. Because the likes of you and me are not welcome in their gated communities.
Tomorrow, we will be introducing a sweeping reform of the tax system in this country. No more hiding wealth offshore, no more trust funds or creative accounting. A simpler, fairer, unavoidable set of tax
Mix it up a
rules.
bit, eh?
So all you bastard public school snobs have got nowhere to hide. And earlier today, we revoked your passports. You want them back? You want to leave like you threatened before the election? That's fine. But first, you're going to pay up. You're going to pay back.
Advance are going to turn this country from a nation of warring individuals into a team. To properly fund health and education. To raise the living standards of us all.
The pundits said we'd have to raise billions. But you'll see when we've reclaimed what's ours, that's absolute ferret shite. So to you posh twats.
The people who pay you a pittance to serve them drinks in their private clubs. The people whose children you raise.
So they've got time to get even fucking richer.
Advance have this to say to you.
It ends today.
We are coming for your sports cars and your mansions and your vineyards.
It ends today.
We will put the wealth of this country back where it should have always been. In the hands of the people who created it.
It ends today.
Yes, it ends today. And tomorrow, we'll start making it fair again. Just like we promised we would.
And until then, ladies and gents, I suggest we all get pissed.
I can't argue with that. Thank you for your time.
Well, an interesting acceptance speech there from the leader. And our apologies for the fruity language. Hopefully we got that bleeped out for you in time. If not, someone's going to be in trouble. So, as the country braces itself for new government, that's all from us this evening at the National Nightly News. We'll be back tomorrow with full coverage of the first day under Advance. I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Have a peaceful night.
Right, looks like you've got it now. Thanks for all the help, mate. I've got to go. Ferry's about to leave. Probably won't be coming back. Job's yours, mate. Good luck.
Boring politics, then?
This is some weird fever dream. Am I dying now or something?
You should be so lucky.
I'll see you tomorrow night.
Not coming for a drink?
No, got a date.
Lucky you. Try not to get murdered.
Your collection week by week, and very soon you'll have a salad that really gets the
Most people come into the archive room when they're done with a broadcast. That way you can see what you did and how it looked to the public. As you can see, there's 3 sections to the archive. Broadcasts, that's what you've put out. Rushes, which is all the stuff that was on all the screens. And adverts, which is any advert that you've chosen to show. So let's have a look at the broadcasts. Okay, on the left you can see all the broadcasts that you've done. You can also get to hear from the main menu if you don't actually want to do a broadcast, you just want to see some of your past work. Select any of those and click Load Tape. Why not watch what you just did? When you're done, hit back.
In a few moments, we'll be going live to tonight's national nightly news. But before that, let's take a look at what's coming up later on tonight on Channel 1. At 7 o'clock, it's the semi-final of the quotation game, and it's a nail-biting quiz tonight as a team of nuclear physicists take on 4 old ladies from East Screeching. That's followed at 8 p.m. by award-winning documentary series The Shape of Now, which tonight looks at the history of the knee-length sock, and it's...
Right, click on rushes and let's have a look at those. Okay, these 4 screens, they're exactly the same as the 4 screens that feed you the studio signal when you're doing the actual news. Of course, the difference here is you can mute any screen you like or any combination of screens and you can have a listen to what was going on behind the scenes. Just select any segment, that's any bit between ad breaks over on the left, and hit play. When you're done checking out the backstage secrets, hit back. thanks, darling. Yeah, I'll take that one with me. Cheers. Right. Oh, that's better. Let's get set up and get on with it, eh? So I can get back to my guests. First of all, let's get the power on. You need to get at least the bottom 4 plugs on. Right, let's load up the adverts. You might want to have a bit of a think about it. Your decisions have consequences, don't they? Right, you can see they finally got the old headline system up and working again, and the vision mixer's already in headline mode because headlines always come at the start. It's really simple, mate. These 2 buttons at the bottom of the vision mixer, you can see they now have A and B on them, and they're to help you pick image A on the left bottom screen here, or image B on the right bottom screen here. It's really simple. This little clock here will count down the number of seconds you have to make your decision. Provided you make a decision in that time, you're fine, and you can change your mind as much as you want until the clock reaches 0. But if you don't make any decision, you'll be fired before you even get to make another choice. I just want to say one more thing, mate. The pictures you choose to show of these people, well, that's how the public is going to perceive them, and that's going to affect their lives. So like with the adverts, choose carefully.
No,
and we're off. Good luck, mate. If I get time, I'll call you back in the next break. Yeah, I'm coming, darling.
Says theirs gets really hot.
Is this Janet who thinks dogs have their own secret language?
Yeah, the one that mistrusts the moon. 10 seconds, everybody!
Not the best source of consumer advice, then.
Don't blame me when it explodes. Going in 5, 4, 3.
It's time to go over to Jeremy Donaldson for tonight's National.
Good evening, I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Our main headlines tonight. Destination unknown. At the end of Advance's first full week in office, we ask exactly who's leading this charge. Tonight, I'll be discussing what the new future might hold with a leading economist and radical freethinker. With the Assets and Wealth Act on the brink of raising living standards for the vast majority of the country, I'll be asking my guests if we're on the way to a new future. Out with the old, Remington Fisk have appointed Sophia Remington as their new CEO. The following photo, taken from our archive, gives us a sense of this influential young firebrand who, at the tender age of 23, becomes the youngest female CEO in history. Sophia Remington has always impressed. She was top of her class at university and graduated with the highest honours, immediately being asked back to lecture. The markets have responded favourably to Sophia's appointment, with stocks rising 30 points in light of the announcement. In her first press conference this afternoon, Sophia announced a children's toy named Mr. Snugglehouse. Sophia promises it'll be all the rage this Christmas, but concerns have been raised about the product's safety. Making a splash. Intrepid scientist Dr. David Wong and marine biologist Ingrid Swarsborg-Horgensford have today set off to explore Dante's taint. The recently discovered cave system was previously thought unreachable, but thanks to a new breakthrough in underwater flower technology, the pair hope to successfully reach the imposing central cavern and the undiscovered plant species it contains. Many were surprised when the two scientists, who've shared a fractious rivalry for many years, decided to undertake this expedition in each other's company. However, the two have released a joint statement in which they opine geniuses don't have to like each other to achieve remarkable results. Playing the field is about as sporting legend Johnny Hamsleeves is snapped, leaving Bush, one of the capital's hottest clubs. The footballer was caught while out celebrating being named Sports Personality of the Year last week, as reported by this very...
Any decision, you'll be fired before you even get to make another choice. I just want to say one more thing, mate. The pictures you choose to show of these people, well, that's how the public is going to perceive them, and that's going to affect their lives. So like with the adverts, choose carefully.
No,
and we're off. Good luck, mate. If I get time, I'll call you back in the next break. Yeah, I'm coming, darling.
Get one of those. My friend Janet says theirs gets really hot.
Is this Janet who thinks dogs have their own secret language?
Yeah, the one that mistrusts the moon. 10 seconds, everybody!
Not the best source of consumer advice, then.
Don't blame me when it explodes. Going in 5,
But before all
4,
that,
3.
it's time to go over to Jeremy Donaldson for tonight's National Night.
Good evening, I'm Jeremy Donaldson. Our main headlines tonight. Destination unknown. At the end of Advance's first full week in office, we ask exactly who's leading this charge. Tonight, I'll be discussing what the new future might hold with a leading economist and radical freethinker. With the country's wealth creators in a state of panic and unfavourable rumblings already heard from overseas, I'll be asking my guess whether Advance can deliver on even a fraction of their manifesto promises. Out with the old, Rimington's Fist have appointed Sophia Rimington as their new CEO. The following photo, taken from our archive, gives us a sense of this influential young firebrand who, at the tender age of 23, becomes the youngest female CEO in history. Sophia Rimington has always impressed. She was top of her class at university and graduated with the highest honours, immediately being asked back to lecture. The markets have responded favourably to Sophia's appointment, with stocks rising 30 points in light of the announcement. In her first press conference this afternoon, Sophia announced a children's toy named Mr. Snugglehearts. Sophia promises it'll be all the rage this Christmas, but concerns have been raised about the product's safety. Making a splash. Intrepid scientist Dr. David Wong and marine biologist Ingrid Swarsborg-Horgensford have today set off to explore Dante's taint. The recently discovered cave system was previously thought unreachable, but thanks to a new breakthrough in underwater flower technology, the pair hope to successfully reach the imposing central cavern and the undiscovered plant species it contains. Many were surprised that the two scientists, who've shared a fractious rivalry for many years, decided to undertake this expedition in each other's company. However, the two have released a joint statement in which they opine geniuses don't have to like each other to achieve remarkable results. Playing the field, rumours abound as sporting legend Johnny Hamsleeves is snapped leaving Bush, one of the capital's hottest clubs. The footballer was caught while out celebrating being named Sports Personality of the Year last week, as reported by this very programme. And judging from the angle and velocity of that spray, it looks like Johnny may have been celebrating a little bit too much. I certainly wouldn't want to be his dry cleaner. And grievous bodily charm. With Advance promising a radical new position on crime, how afraid should we actually be? I'll be going live around the country to talk with people who've seen the criminal justice system from every perspective. With more and more powers passing to the police and less oversight, are we using an Advance-shaped sledgehammer to crack a nut? All that and Megan Wolf with a group of young actors already experiencing the positive side of the new Assets and Wealth Act firsthand. They'll be talking and performing later. That's all coming up on tonight's National Nightly News.
Welcome back, everybody.
In the wake of the government's swift enactment of the Assets and Wealth Act, we're talking about Advance's first week in office and what the new future holds. Joining me are Katie Brightman, a leading economist, and Alan James, author of Alan James is Right, The Free Man's Guide to Waking Up. Alan, the government certainly haven't dragged their heels on delivering some of the legislation they promised. But what does the Wealth Act mean for us?
Nothing, Jeremy. We're still vassal slaves, we're just in prettier cages.
A confident dismissal there. Katie Brightman, do you agree?
I'm afraid I don't, no. I think that Advance have realised that the current economic system of unlimited, unending growth is untenable, so they're changing things up.
There I agree with you. They're moving to the next steps in the grand plan.
Grand plan, Alan?
It's all in my book. Alan James is right, Jeremy. We're to become the great herd, ignorant, sterile, and short-lived. That's what they want.
Or perhaps Advance have just realised that if we carry on the way we are, we will destroy ourselves and this planet in a mad orgy of consumption, if you'll excuse the colourful metaphor.
Yes, orgy is the right word. Only it'll be the overlords having an orgy on our poor broken backs. It's all in my book. Alan James is...
Shamelessly self-promoting? Katie, how do you think the rest of the world will respond to this new approach?
I think they're watching carefully. Advance are the most disruptive threat that the world powers have faced since the last Great War.
Yes, Katie's right. War is inevitable.
Thank you, but that isn't
And
what
this will not be a war like we've ever seen before. We're talking millions of deaths. We're talking high-tech weapons that can level entire cities. We're talking...
Out of the wrong orifices?
Mock me all you like, Jeremy, but when they murder your parents and they poison your food and they take you away to their camps for hypno-brainwashing, we'll be laughing then.
That might be a great way to sell books, Alan, but you know full well that isn't going to happen in a democracy.
Democracy is dead.
Yes, Advance are radical, and change is always frightening, but the truth is that the Wealth and Assets Act has made more than 90% of the population wealthier and is on target to produce a permanent end to poverty.
Bollocks! What this young lady doesn't understand, Jeremy, is that these are the same people. Maybe they've rebranded, but it's all a little circus act to keep us from seeing the tyrant behind the curtain.
That's where you're wrong, Alan. For a start, they've mobilised the youth vote like we've never seen before.
You say mobilise, I call it grooming. The grooming of an entire generation to walk happily into eternal bondage. They're like psychic paedophiles.
But based on the facts, Katie, what are your predictions?
The Assets and Wealth Act is only the first step. Advance now have a historic budgetary surplus, and as well as properly funding our public services, they're already funneling unprecedented amounts into scientific research and the arts.
Or, as I call them in my book, Frankenscience and opiates. Like opiates, see?
Can we get back to the issue at hand, please, Alan?
This is the issue. It's all coming from the water, the chemicals, they're pumping it full of belief juice.
Don't get me wrong, I want to see these changes, but only if they're sustainable. If Advance lose their power after spending half of our GDP on dismantling infrastructure, that could be catastrophic.
The catastrophe is that they're succeeding. They've got us sat here talking about their puppet show.
All right, we're running out of time. Quickly, Alan, what does the future look like to you?
A bleak space where we've all been figuratively sodomized into submission.
Of course. Katie?
We might be on the eve of a brave new world. God knows we need some change, but we need to be cautious. Let's walk forwards with our eyes open.
Two very different visions of the future there. Alan James, Katie Brightman, thank you for joining me. When we come back, I'll be investigating law and order before Megan meets some beneficiaries of the Assets and Wealth Act. That's all coming up tonight on the National Nightly News.
1 minute back.
You know, I think they might do some good.
I hope so too, Jeremy.
Absolutely fucking fine, I tell you. How's it going? Actually, fuck it, I don't care. I hate the fucking news. Oh, bloody hell, I love this tune, though. All right, mate, see you later. Bye.
Well, I don't know what she meant by that.
And his incredible real-action eyes. It's no wonder Mr. Snugglehugs is the gift your child wants this Christmas.
All the other kids have got one.
That's right, little one. You don't want to be left out.
I'm just saying I'll do what I can, that's all.
Oh shit, you will. She's good. You know she is.
I've said a bit of word in, that's all I can do.
10 seconds, everybody. Little JD scared of the big bad culture reporter.
If that sticks, I'll just
5, 4, 3.
Welcome back. In our second segment, we're going to be taking a deep dive into the state of law and order in our country. Advance have already tasked what they are calling a solutions team to move this serious social problem to the top of the list. Tonight, we go behind the headlines to meet the people who live with the criminal justice system every day of their lives. First up, we have Gregory Judge, a lawyer who sees the problems close up on the front line. Can you hear me, Gregory?
Yes, I've got you, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
What's it like on the front line of the hard face of the cold hand of justice?
Well, as you can imagine, Jeremy, we are massively understaffed in this country. We're working every hour we can just to try and cope with the caseloads on our desks.
Which must affect the quality of support you can offer.
Well, we can barely keep up with demand, Jeremy. There just simply isn't enough being done at a systemic level to relieve the problem. We need more support from ministers. What are you doing? We need change at a structural level,
I'm
Jeremy.
leaving, Greg.
Not a good time, darling.
It never is it? I'll be at my mother's.
Just hang on. The problem isn't a local one, Jeremy. It's nationwide. Just give me 5 minutes. I'm talking to Jeremy Thompson.
Oh, have you mentioned your affairs?
No.
Oh, have you mentioned your affairs?
Well, the affairs of the Justice Department that we should be concerned about.
Hello, Mr. Donaldson.
Hello, Mrs. Jones.
We need legislation to relieve the pressure on our public
Sorry
servants.
to interrupt the news, Mr. Donaldson. Can I have a moment to tell my husband I'm leaving him?
Yes, I totally understand. Quite the picture of a burdened legal sector there. Gregory Judge, thank you for joining us. Constable Bob Peel, a man with a very different perspective on our nation's crime. Do you think there's a problem with the system, Bob?
I'm sure we all do, Jeremy. I'm sure we all long for a return to the days when you could safely walk the streets of your community at night, looking in through windows and generally enjoying your neighbours without the risk of being terrorised by some thug with a knife. Or kosh.
So you feel the streets simply aren't safe anymore? Where have we gone wrong, Bob?
Well, that's not a simple question, Jeremy, but I think it all comes down to moral decay. We've diluted our culture and lost touch with what it means to be a citizen of this once great country. Also, as the vicar noted in Sunday's sermon, we probably shouldn't have banned hanging.
And to what do you attribute this moral decay?
Foreigners, gays and gypsies mainly. It's all in the Bible. Look, Leviticus clearly states that... Oh, bugger, hang on a moment. Jeremy, a bloody gimp's escaped. Delia? Delia, could you give me a little help, please, dear? As I was saying, Jesus didn't like immigrants much, did he?
And just to be clear, you think it's the immigrants who are responsible for the moral decay?
Absolutely, Jeremy. Back in your box, Clive. Back in your box. Delia, I really could use a little help with this.
I'm sorry, darling. I was spaying the badgers.
Yes, I'm talking to Jeremy Donaldson. Clive, could you put him back in his box?
Clive, you know it's Wednesday. You've got back in your gimp space.
And whose responsibility is it to make a change, Bob?
Well, it is certainly not the responsibility of the decent, good, white people of this...
Where's the padlock?
Oh, hold on just a moment.
Oh, Clive, this simply won't do. Naughty boy.
Clive, I am not having this again.
Mummy, so get back in your husband's... No! Naughty, you beast!
As I was saying, Jeremy, moral decay. Crime is the responsibility of the criminal, no one else. Look, everyone has a sob story, but we don't all end up as barbarians, do we? Look, when our daughter Alice comes home with an A-, does she go on a killing spree? No, she takes 3 of her pills and hides under the stairs like a normal child.
Thank you, Bob. Bob Peel there, really locking down the police's position on morality for us. And finally tonight, hopefully uninterrupted, it's time to get to the heart of the matter. Tony Dawson has recently been released from prison after serving 3 years for aggravated assault, burglary and menacing a SWAT. He's agreed to talk to us today, which is also, I believe, his birthday. Many happy returns, Tony.
Cheers, Jez. Call me Titwank Tony. Everybody else does.
No, I'm not going to be doing that. Can you tell us what it's like in prison, Tony?
Titwank Tony. Prison's a mixed bag. Structure's quite nice, but it's a constant battle against institutionalisation, as you can imagine. And obviously, titwanks are quite hard to come by.
I'm picking up that you're not alone there, Tony.
Titwank Tony. Yeah, sorry, my friends are throwing me a surprise party. Good bunch of lads.
Okay, well, we're trying to let you get back to that party as soon as possible. First, let me ask you this. Do you feel that your time spent in prison helped to rehabilitate you in any way, Tony?
Titwank Tony! I don't think it's as easy as that, Jez. Yeah, I think asking that is an oversimplification.
It sounds like it's getting quite busy there, Tony, but let's try and soldier on. Since leaving custody, have you been able to find a new job?
Yeah, all the boys are here. Big Chris, Little Chris, and Vampire Chris.
This one's, yeah?
One sec, love. Titwank Tony's on the news. Rehabilitation's difficult with the current system, Jez. It's just not set up for it, you know? It's inherently unjust.
So, do you feel tempted to... I'm sorry, who's this now?
You are joking. Chrissy Freebollocks has only got Mr. Fancy, oh. Titwank. What now, fellas? I'm on the news.
It seems like we've caught you at a bad time.
Oh, I can't really hear you, mate. It's getting a bit busy here.
Yes, we seem to be losing the signal here, Tony.
No fucking way, Las Bolitas!
Well, we're just trying to get that signal back. I think we... Yes, Tony? Tony, I mean, we're literally away for 2 seconds. How has this happened, Tony? Can you hear me? Well, we seem to have lost our train of thought there a little. Hopefully you, the viewer at home, have managed to gain a broader understanding of the serious and complex issues around law and order. After the break, Megan will be live with some plucky young thespians. Don't go away. We'll be back after these messages.
1 minute back, everybody.
Mate, I ain't got long and I'm quite drunk. It's been a great night. In this next section, there's a bit of music. If you edit in time with the music, you can see the result on the vision mixer, and the public will love that. Don't worry if you don't, though. You won't get punished for it or nothing. Just try and stay in the groove. Also, one last tip. When the music starts, turn down the broadcast volume. Right, enjoy the music bit. God, I love music. God, I'm so pissed. I think I might go and throw up in a bit.
Come on, it's welcome back. How can it be?
This is on you. 10 seconds, everybody. Open on Megan. Camera 2. Going in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome's Black, I'm Megan Wolfe, and on tonight's Culture Spot, I'll be chatting with one of the first beneficiaries of the Assets and Wealth Act, a team of inspiring young people from Scritchford Sixth Form College, who today received a grant from Advance to take their play, Hey, Friendship, on a tour of local secondary schools. Welcome to you all. Well, let's start with you two, Harriet and Charlotte Winstanley-Hamilton. Girls, you must be thrilled.
We are, Megan. We're overwhelmed, to be honest.
And I believe you two are sisters, is that right?
Yes, Charlotte's my oldest.
I'm the older, more popular one. I'm joking.
Harriet and Trey were really the ones who came up with the whole idea.
So, Harry and I were shooting the breeze in the cafeteria, and I said, hey, let's actually do something.
So I went to look for a drama teacher.
But she'd been laid off due to budget cuts. Fortunately, I directed a pantomime when I was at university, so I knew the ropes, as it were.
Right, yes, but you're the maths teacher, aren't you?
Yes, that's me, Jeff Algebra, maths teacher.
Maths is really important.
Oh, thanks, Steve.
Maths is really important.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
As is theatre. It's one of the oldest art forms in history. Aristotle
I
believed.
just think that when we travel around all these problem schools and the poor kids see us, they say, hey, I really want to be like those attractive kids. And that's a very beautiful and powerful thing. We touch our audiences and they touch us right back.
I suppose with a surname like Algebra, there was really only one choice of career for me. My wife, Angela, and I, we often laugh about it.
Angela Algebra.
Yes.
We just want to bring a bit of song and joy into people's lives.
And teach people about the difficult issues. The issues in the play are what really matter.
And I think you're going to be showing us an extract from this play, aren't you?
That's right. To put into context, I play a young first year who's having some troubles at school.
Her character doesn't actually have a name, yeah, because in a way she's like all of us.
It's like a metaphor. Maybe she's you at home, or like, maybe she's you, Megan.
Maths is really important.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Put it in, coach.
Yes, thanks, Steve.
Right, well, I'm going to have a little chat with your teacher while you run off and get ready. I can't wait to see it. That's it, that way. So, Jeff, when did you first hear about the grant?
2 days ago. A letter from Advance arrived at the school. Now, the headmaster thought it was all a prank, but his secretary retrieved it from his bin and brought it to me.
How? How did you react?
I also threw it in the bin. But then, Harriet and Trey rescued it, and they rang the number at the bottom of the page, and next thing you know, we're on tour.
Wow. Well, I think we can all guess which way you'll be voting from now on.
Do you know what? It's funny, because Angela and I don't usually vote. We're not very political. I'm a mathematician, of course, and she's a paraplegic, mainly. But we did used to watch that Peter Clements DIY show back in the day, and so we thought, why not? Let's have a go with this whole democracy thing.
Okay.
And here we bally well are.
Good stuff.
Fucking brilliant!
So, let's have a look at a short section of Hey, Friendship.
Dear Diary, I'm not sure I can take another day at this school. Another day of tears. Another day of fears.
fears.
But still I walk the corridors alone. Dreading what might be around every corner.
What's around the corner? What's around the corner? What's around the corner?
Oh, hi, Gary.
Oh, heavens no! It's Gary the Fist!
Gary the Fist!
Going somewhere, little first year?
Great! I've been looking for some poor victim to bully all morning. But will this make me feel better about my violent father?
Excuse me, I'm late for maths. It's my favourite subject. And so important.
Maths is for losers.
What?
Maths is for losers.
My arm's stuck, coach.
Just keep going, for fuck's sake.
Right, maths is for losers. Now, give me your lunch money.
Double lunch for me today, but why am I only truly happy when I'm eating?
Not today, Gary the Fist. Not today.
What do you mean not today? Who are you? What do you mean not today? My arm's free, coach.
Brilliant, keep going.
Right, who are you to stand up to me? I'm Gary the Fist. And you're just a sad little girl with two gay dads who's all alone.
That's where you're wrong, Gary the Fist. These are my two new friends. Vanessa is captain of the netball team.
Yeah.
And Blake owns a motorbike.
Yeah.
But I can't fight all three of you. And I don't have any friends of my own.
Take a look at me. Take a little look at my face. I could be you. She could be you. And you could be me.
Or you could be me.
Life can be peachy keen if you work as a team.
It's my choice to be made. So stop now, make a different choice.
Listen to that inner voice.
Hey, listen up, I won't take no crap. Who said middle class girls can't rap? I ain't afraid of your cruel laps. I'm a mother-loving rebel, but I still love maths.
Hey, kids, I'm Gary the Fist. People think that folks like me probably shouldn't exist. But that's just prejudice, and I'd do better if you knew the way that I became Gary the Fist. I grew up on a council estate. The park was hip, but the flats weren't great. My dad used to come home drunk and late, and he'd hit my mum for dinner, he had to wait. Where's my dinner?
It's not ready.
Where's my dinner, woman?
Go.
Don't make me ask you again.
Hitting women is wrong. Hitting women is wrong.
I guess life's pretty hard on a council estate. 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 It's so damn hard on a council estate.
Life can be peachy keen.
Yeah.
If you work as a team.
Just work as a team.
It's your choice to be me.
It's my choice.
So stop now, make a different choice.
Listen to that inner voice.
Friendship!
Well, thankfully that's all we have time for tonight on the National Nightly News. Join us tomorrow night for all the headlines from across the country. My name's Jeremy Dalton. Have a peaceful night.
And we're out.
What the literal fuck was that?
I believe that was art.
I believe I've got a 14-inch cock, but it doesn't make it so.
I have a similar belief about an adequate paycheck.
Oh, someone please get these twats out of my studio.
While keeping us informed of all the ups and downs.
Hello, mate. I see they've got the store back. That's great. I love fucking shopping. Sorry. Bit of a big night, to be honest. Anyway, over here, that's how much money you've got. You'll get more money the better the broadcast you do. These tabs take you to the bits and pieces and sections of the store. You can fix stuff, you can upgrade stuff, or you can just buy really cool stuff to put around the studio. Right, mate, and the final thing you've got to know, if you want to buy something, you just click on it and go ka-ching. But there's no refunds. No refunds, so take care, make sensible decisions. Don't be like that.
Good evening. I'm Jeremy Dawson.
I'm Megan Wolf. Wolf. I'm Megan Wolf. I'm Megan Wolf. I'm Megan Wolf.
I'm Jeremy.
Der Vogelfänger bin ich, da steht lustig heißer Hauptsasa. Ich Vogelfänger bin bekannt bei Alt und Jung im ganzen Land. Weiß mit dem Locken umzugehen und mich aus Pfeifen zu verstehen.
Good evening, Alex. It's Bozeman here, your boss. While you're powering up and getting the adverts loaded, I thought I should just tell you that we've had one of those public information films from the government, and it's mandatory that you play it. You still have a free choice for the other two, so read those tape labels carefully, but make sure you play the advanced advert, preferably at the second break. Right, that's the lot. Have a great show. Total pimp. My God, that weather looks nasty.
I don't know why I talked to you.
It probably is a really awful date.
10 seconds, everybody. Like I said, all of you.
Did your personality accidentally slip out?
Bricks. Going in 5, 4, 3.
Time for the National Nightly News with Jeremy Donaldson and...
Good evening. I'm Jeremy Donaldson.
And I'm Megan Wolf. Our main stories tonight.
Uncooperative. A mysterious symbol has appeared overnight on thousands of buildings throughout the capital.
Tonight, in an exclusive live interview with Prime Ministers Julia Salisbury and Peter Clement, I'll be asking what this mysterious symbol might mean.
After 3 months of record-breaking approval ratings, could this be the daring first move of a silent resistance movement? And what would that mean as we go into the future?
A house divided. Trapped in Dante's taint for more than a month now, embittered doctors Ingrid Forsborgen-Horgensvoord and David Wong announced today that they're considering 2 possible options to end the growing tensions.
Since splitting into 2 opposing camps on day 4 of the expedition, relationships between the factions and their leaders have only worsened.
Dr. Wong's team have successfully prototyped what they're calling shanks of deterrence, while Dr. Forsborgen-Horgensvoord claims to have fashioned a deadly toxin for the tips of her group's spears. I certainly wouldn't want to knock over their test tubes, Jeremy.
Bearing their opinions, The formerly rich are fighting back with a naked protest.
Our very own Robin Short was on hand earlier today when this new protest group first presented themselves.
Spokesman Wentworth Somerset Bentley said today, "They've had the shirts off our backs. They might as well have the rest of it too." And while it's easy to laugh, perhaps we should all just be pondering how desperate the formerly rich are to regain their power.
Fallen angel? Notorious addict Johnny Handsleeves seems to have reached a new low in his battle with booze, as this recent picture reveals.
Johnny's star certainly lacks its former glow these days, with public concern over his mental and physical health growing at an alarming rate.
Since being banned from the national squad earlier this year after urinating on a referee during a friendly against East Grinchley, things seem to have gone from bad to worse for Handsleeves.
Is his once celebrated role model about to become the bad boy of sport?
And onwards and upwards. In an attempt to put the Mr. Snugglehugs disaster behind them, Rimington's Fist CEO Sophia Rimington today announced a brand new product that already has the markets buzzing with interest.
This groundbreaking product came as quite a shock when it was revealed earlier today, though its critics are sceptical that the young CEO can fulfill her promises.
When only a Flard will do, you need the Flardmaster 5000. That's the slogan accompanying the announcement that has rocked the construction industry this morning. The breakthrough device for aiding in installation is sure to change the way we see the humble Flard.
With that exclusive Prime Ministerial interview coming up later.
And our very own Patrick Bannon coming to you live from the first annual Sports Board final.
You won't want to miss a second of tonight's National Nightly News.
National Nightly News. Where's my mic? First tonight, after the Christmas horror caused by Mr. Snugglehugs, we have an exclusive interview with one of the victims.
Poor 7-year-old Timmy Tadlock, like so many of those affected by the Christmas bloodbath, has spent the last 3 months undergoing a series of reconstructive facial surgeries.
Last week, joyfully, he spoke for the first time since the tragedy. Tonight, he talks to us.
Before we go to the interview, however, this station would like to issue a full and frank apology for any part we may have played in the tragedy. We should never have advertised Mr. Snugglehugs. Without our publicity, the sheer scale of this tragedy, and now upwards of 8,000 casualties, might have been averted.
On behalf of the Nightly News team, we're sorry.
In future, we will do better.
Now it's over to Robin Short at the Tadlock family home. Robin?
Thank you, Megan. I'm here with Mr. and Mrs. Tadlock and their 7-year-old son, Timothy. Thanks for spending time with us today.
Yes, well, you're bloody lucky we're spending any time with you at all, after what you lot did. Irresponsible. I mean, whose idea was this anyway?
It's all right. It wasn't your fault. As you can see, Megan, there's still a few open wounds here. I'll tread carefully. I'm going to speak to Timmy now. Hello, Timmy. Can you see me?
That lady.
It's the lady from television, Timothy. She's going to ask you a few questions.
You be careful now, it upsets them to remember.
Don't worry, Mr. Tadlock. I wasn't the youngest ever editor of the Swinstead Middle School Inquirer for no reason. So, Timmy, can you tell us what happened to you? You had just unwrapped Mr. Snugglehugs, hadn't you? Was he under the tree?
Yes, I could smell him already. He smelled like love.
Ah, yes, that'll be the fur. It's scented with hoof.
I was so excited. I ran up to my room and gave him a big hug. He was so soft and warm, like our cat, before he got in the way of Daddy's Porsche.
And what did Mr. Snugglehugs say to you?
He blinked his real action eyes and said, "You're my very best friend." But I sure wish Mrs. Snugglehugs was here, and she can't be, for just $89.99. And then it's a general error. 41!
And is that when he burst into flames?
Careful.
And then he exploded.
Oh, look, I've asked you nicely.
And am I right in saying that one of his real action eyes is now permanently embedded in your cheek?
Yes. When I took him in at night, it glows through bandages. I know it's under there, staring at me.
Yeah, some of the other children have started calling him Timmy Three Eyes. And with his glasses, that's 5.
It's too many eyes, Robin.
And what's the last thing you remember before the darkness overtook you?
He looked at me with his one eye and laughed. Laughed as he burned.
It sounds very traumatic. Do you have nightmares?
All right, that's quite enough of
Timmy?
you two coming in here with your camera, trying to make a buck out of our suffering. I won't have it.
Mr. Tadlock, just a couple more questions. Timmy, do you think you will ever be what we can call normal again?
And now you've made him cry with all 3 of his eyes.
Calm down, your Do you think your parents will ever really love you again?
Right, that's it. Enough.
I'm happy, Mr. Tadlock. So there you have it, Megan. Just one of the many victims of an indescribable tragedy that has shaken our nation. Back to you.
Thank you, Robin. Harrowing stuff.
And many questions to be answered by Sophia Remington in the coming days and months, I'd wager. How will she turn this crisis around?
So, Jeremy, what are the warning signs a consumer should look out for when they're spotting a dangerous toy?
Well, Megan, experts advise to always check for the new Advanced mark, which guarantee a level of safety and quality.
Yeah, can we just get a close-up on count of 3 here? So if we take a look at this National Nightly News mug, you should see the mark just on the base of it there.
In the wake of the scandal, the government were praised for their swift response in bringing in this set of stringent checks and new products.
It certainly is good to know that someone's watching out for our families. When we come back, our very own Patrick Bannon will be live from the Sports Board Finals. Stick around, you won't want to miss it.
We'll be back after these messages.
1 minute back.
Oh, sorry, I'm bursting.
She's very good.
Who?
Megan.
Yes, she is.
Watch your back, Jeremy. Women are coming.
I'm more worried about this water dripping into my head.
Alex, Bozeman, we're getting reports in that naked protesters might try and spoil the sports board final by waving their fleshy bits about. Try and make sure you don't broadcast it. It's 6 p.m. for God's sake. No one wants to see fannies on the news. Bozeman out.
Pressure on the bladder. This can cause trouble starting to pee, and it can cause laundry-based trouble between you and your sheeping ex-wife. So what caused this big old prospect in your bum? Well, sorry, me and the doctors, we don't know. But I can say, as you get older, your body changes. If you're worried about
That's what it says.
Yes, I understand that, but I always say welcome back.
I think we should just keep it as it is.
Well, of course you do. I've got one hack line.
What's that supposed to mean? I didn't write it, Jeremy.
That's all right, fine. Jenny, there's something wrong with the auto cue.
10 seconds.
Oh, I just felt a drip again. Have they not fixed this?
Want to see us fry? It's good for the ratings.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome back to the National Nightly News. Coming up later, we'll be speaking to the Prime Ministers about their exciting new healthcare facilities, transition centres.
Nice to see they care.
You're absolutely right, Jeremy. But first, we're going now to our own Patrick Bannon, who's reporting live from the finals of the new game that's gripping the nation, Sports Board. Patrick?
That's right, Megan. You join me live here from the final of the first annual Sports Board Championship. It's been a hotly contested competition so far. I think it's fair to say these two have been dancing around each other all season. First up, we have Ellie Striker. She's the more experienced of our 2 players today. Striker has got an accuracy of 7, a danger rating of K, and a 12-month driving ban. Striker's known for her signature move, the Orangi Hamster. And facing her tonight, hoping to prove himself with a career record of 12 outs, 14 finishes, and a divorce pending, it's Mr. Wingspan himself, Tommy, the Fingernail Harris. Just waiting on the ref now. The slapping ceremony is taking part. Still going on. And Striker, of course, first to start as she won the trivia round earlier on by some margin. Harris, perhaps the brawn and not the brains. Stupid. Eddie Striker. Nice start there from Striker. She's determined not to let the nerves show. Not after last time. On to Mr. Harris now. Tommy. Using his arm to pick up the ball. Not a bad shot there from Harris. Back to striker for shot number 3. All right. She's gone to sort of throwing it under her legs. Not bad if you ask me. Bit of business with the ref, but it got sorted out. Back to Harris now. A ball in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. I'd say that's fair, but what do I know? Oh no, and Harris is not going to be happy with that. So really not good start there for Tommy Harris in round 1. We can only hope that round 2 treats him a bit better. But first, of course, after the argument with the ref section, it's time to change ends. Now we have the ceremonial changing of the ends. And of course now they go back to the starting positions, as that makes sense. Striker giving it large. We're into round 2 now with Harris. Okay, we seem to have some sort of streaker on the pitch. Apologise if we broadcast any of that stuff. She appears to have slogans across her breasts and arse. Try and ignore all of that. Security, I'm sure we're going to take them out as soon as possible. Apologise if we broadcast any of that. As I said, we're going to get the situation resolved as soon as possible. They're trying to carry on play, but it's proving a bit difficult, and I'm struggling to follow. This is quite an eyesore, and women's bodies, yeah. All right, great. Okay, so back into round 2 now, and Harris absolutely determined to close that massive gap. Lady striker. No, it's just some of the tightest play I've seen ever. Harris. And was that the fitted thumb screw? We haven't seen that since the heats. What a brilliant move. Back to striker. And we know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. That is, of course, the ground sound. Excellent bit of play here on both sides of the bucket. I don't know about you at home, but I'm finding the technical mastering display here absolutely blooming jaw-dropping. The ref has spotted something in Harris's neck or head. And Harris is having an absolute shocker. What a miserable start there for Tommy Harris. But he is a late bloomer, of course, I've always said that. And after all, it is a game of 2 halves, 4 rounds and several subgenres. But now, of course, it's time for the half-time show. Sponsored by Remington's Fist. Must be some music here to start the half-time show. Okay, another posh protester loose on the court here. We can only apologise for that. We'll do our best to shield you from having to look directly at it. Is running around here with his genitals on display for all to see. And ruining what was shaping up to be quite the dancer, to be fair. Now he's thrusting himself in Harris's face. Security's on it. And the bucket's been knocked over! I cannot stand it when the bucket gets knocked over. Hopefully he'll get taken out now. Genitals flying around for all to see. Really, if you ask me, not Sunday morning television. And out of there, hopefully taken away, never to be seen again. And a lovely finish there on both sides of the bucket. I wouldn't like to call that one. And as we head into round 3, I'd love to know what's going on in these 2 players' heads. But unfortunately, because of science, we can't. Not bad. So that ball boy's giving me the eye all day. I don't know what's going on now. Striker there, not a great start. She looks a bit flustered, I think, after all that swinging around. Back to Harris here. God, what I wouldn't give to be that ball. I'm all right, ladies. Tommy Harris. And it dribbled down his arm, which is actually a really good move, because, of course, if it dribbles down his arm and goes on the floor, it's not going in the bucket. Back to striker. And striker's gone for the animal bonus there, but of course, perhaps... And yes, Harris has counted with a tiny bell. That is wonderful play. Of course, we've seen that before. Look at her face. She is absolutely gutted. What a mug. That could have been the clincher. What a massive shame. Harris to serve now. Harris, of course, undefeated by Kestrel in his last 4 battles. go. Tommy Harris. That's all right. Not bad there. He threw it quite far away from him, which is quite a good idea. Very clever there. Perhaps a little contact. Caution from the referee, who's being, if you ask me, a little bit harsh. Ellie Striker. And she's let the nerves get to her. What the hell was that? You hate to see it, don't you? You cannot believe it. Oh, for God's sake. Okay, like, I mean, this is a mess now. I don't know what I'm going to be doing about this. I mean, there's sort of breasts and genitals for all to see. I mean, there's only so much you can do. They're sort of everywhere, aren't they? All right, I'll try and carry on. The players are trying to carry on, but of course it's difficult because these protesters are. Hopefully we can get them taken off soon so we can carry on with the match. What's going on here? Yes.
We want our money.
Yes, very good. Take them away. Bloody wasters. Absolute wasters. Oh, jog on! It's an absolute bloody... Okay, and now we're going to go into the final round. And of course, as it's a Tuesday, the final round is a mime round. Who could believe it? Nice imaginary shot there from Harris. It really could go anywhere at this point. Really high-level play here from two absolute juggernauts of the sport. The bucket getting moved back to its proper place. About time, if you ask me. She's juggling it around from her hands. Interesting. And she's put it in her mouth like as if it was an egg. And now she's spat it out. She did the egg spit. So a wonderful move there, quite late on, from Striker. But she's in it to win it. On it, like a car bonnet. Tommy Harris here, having a bit of beef. And he's peeling it as if it were a banana, which is an interesting move. Not sure if he hasn't had his potassium or what's going on today with Harris. And he's throwing it, and the banana was the ball! What a fantastic move there from Harris. Unfortunately, that is the end. What a pathetic, there we go, Jeremy, that is over. How can he look his 80-year-old son in the face tonight? What a lump. We just have to wait for the referee now to announce it to make sure it is all official. In, please.
And the winner of the first annual Sports Board Championship is everyone!
Okay, the ref has agreed once again a win for everyone, including me as my 15th win in the Sports Board Championship. I'm going to be celebrating tonight with my wife and children. Another wonderful victory for me. Here come the on-field collect their medals. They're 6th and 7th respectively. And thanks again for watching the Sports Board Championships. What more is there to say? I'm Patrick Bannon. Looking forward to celebrating tonight. And all I always have to say, Jeremy, is back to you in the studio.
Patrick Bannon there had an extraordinary final.
Historic Sports Board, Jeremy.
I didn't know you were a fan.
Yeah, I can wrench a doubler with the best of them, I'll have you know.
I certainly wouldn't bet against you.
When we come back, I'll be talking live with Prime Ministers Julia Salisbury and Peter Clement, who apparently have a big announcement you wouldn't want to miss.
That's coming up after these messages.
1 minute back.
Fucking microphone shot me.
What?
Fucking microphone just shot me. Where's that sound guy?
Everything okay?
Oh, the mics are just trying to kill us now, apparently.
You'll be fine. You're unshockable.
I'm immune to your cheap flattery.
I'm wearing you down.
Bozeman again. Just heard from the chaps in maintenance that this storm is causing the odd power surge. Some of your controls might be a bit, dangerous. Now, I know you're tough and you can take the odd shock for the sake of a perfect news broadcast, but too many in quick succession can stop the old ticker. I'm sure you'll make the right decisions.
So sorry about all these buckets. We, seem to have sprung a leak. Well, several, actually.
Gonna need a whole new lining up there. Triple signature.
We'll look into it. It's so good to see you again.
Miss Wolfe, your star seems to be in the ascendant.
It's a great time to be alive.
Too bloody right, Peter Clement.
Megan Wolfe.
My, but that's a firm handshake you've got there.
She's tougher than she looks. Am I here?
Here, with Mr. Clement on your left.
Right you are, pet.